Another canvas for the easel. Chapter 9 is called Evil. Diamond powder for the sequel. Diamond powder for the people. Evil deeds in this malice jungle. Heinous nations, corrupted hustles. Flagrant hatred, detractors haunt you. Hate to say this and I ain't want to. And even the righteous had evil thoughts. Wicked lingers over noble hearts. Wickedness, suffocation, the innocence, that's how it starts. Diabolical affliction, vision clouded by the programming society's infliction. We surrounded by corruption, nefarious mentalities develop under fragile circumstances. But it ain't nothing you can tell them, I know.
Let a man avoid evil deeds as a merchant. If he has few companions and carries much wealth, avoids a dangerous road. As a man who loves life, avoids poison.
Yeah, poisonous anecdotes tarnish progression. Born innocent, learning from the start of inception. Stepping stones to a moral compass that guided you throughout the storm. So when the evil thoughts emerge, you got the fortitude to stay informed. And they say, evil is human nature, but so is war. That don't mean shooting bullets off its righteous behavior. That's just a vice to invite you to danger. Cause we all got a conscience, some people ignore it just like a stranger. Good versus evil, the oldest drama known to man. Good versus evil, which side of the fence do you stand? Cause all I want is for my people to shine. Cause all I want is for my people to shine. I think it's time.
If a man offend a harmless, pure, and innocent person, the evil falls back upon that fool. Those who are free from all worldly desires attain nirvana.
Platinum Nirvana. Chapter 9, one time. Yep. Diabolical affliction, vision clouded by the programming society's infliction. We surrounded by corruption, nefarious mentalities develop under fragile circumstances, but it ain't nothing you can tell them, I know. So what does this all mean? Where do we go from here? Careful, you gotta take caution before you steer. Think twice before it's lights off. Think twice or it might call, cause you gotta steer the boat. Never use autopilot, cause when evil take real sound the sirens. Whoosh. Evil.
Even an evildoer sees happiness as long as his evil deed has
melanated bug.
But when his evil deed has
my volume okay?
Then does the evildoer see evil.
Yeah. Chapter 9. Look. Jump right out. Jump right out.
Punishment. All men tremble at punishment. Remember that you are like
I know a couple of mofos shaking right now. Shaking and shivering.
Or cause slaughter.
It ain't
He
funny,
who
but it's
seeks
funny.
his own happiness punishes or kills beings
Vengeance
who
is
also
mine,
long for
saith the Lord,
happiness.
I will repay.
Will not
So watch your step
find
around this
happiness
motherfucker. Karma
after
is
death.
real.
Chapter 10 is called Punishment. No filter, no embellishments. Nobody is immune to the storm. King with a crown full of thorns. Living to the damn reborn. To judgment day. Any way that it goes. We all gotta see that someday. And the actions that we take are not just circumstantial. Weight on my shoulders, bearing down like an anvil, but that's just a sample. Talk to him.
He who inflicts pain on innocent and harmless persons will soon come to one of these 10 states. He will have cruel suffering, loss,
they gon' have to pay the cost.
Injury of the body,
So sick he might need an IV.
heavy affliction,
Right,
Listen,
that's
or
the
loss
queen.
of mind,
They lost their mind.
or misfortune,
Seen it all too many times, but what's the next I'm waiting?
fearful accusation,
take flight, breathe life and you gain sight. Talk to the people.
Is there in this world any man so restrained by humility that he does not mind reproof? As a well-trained horse, the whip. Like a well-trained horse, when touched by the whip, ye active and lively, you will overcome this great pain of reproof.
Yeah, see, it's hard trying to put that pride aside, yeah, it's not easy, but it's all good, what's right is right, and that's the formula, never forget the format, feeling like I'm one step closer, this for the culture, words to the script to the hi-hat, verse full of purpose, I like that, this for the time, the pride got too much, he couldn't even take the punishment, all disgruntled and such, yeah, it was hard to admit, but it's somewhat needed, it's hard to expand the mindset of conceited, it's hard to expand the mind, just believe it. And it all comes with a price. Do wrong or you do right. Lie dormant to take flight. Breathe life and you gain sight. That's right. And it all comes with a price. Do wrong or you do right. Lie dormant to take flight. Breathe life and you gain sight. That's right.
Well makers lead the water wherever they like. Carpenters bend a log of wood. Good people fashion themselves.
Yeah, ride out. Ride out. Ride out.
That is Anna Nikki New and YJ the Author. Lord. So I wasn't doing nothing right now. I could have been doing other stuff, but I decided we can't put it off no more. So we're going to read some. I didn't close it, so we still at the point we was at when we closed out the last time. I put the link in the chat. You know, you can hop up if you want. If you don't, that's also cool. Peace to everybody on this cold behind beautiful Tuesday morning. Afternoon now because it's 12. And with no further ado, let's get started. Okay, so last time the defense lawyer was questioning this expert on compliant victims, and he was asking about why his stuff. Hey, Risley, he was asking about how many. Oh, let me put my phone on mute. He was asking about why his stuff wasn't peer reviewed in like psychological journals. Hey, Eternity, that's what I get for trying to read and talk at the same time. So hold on, let me make sure I'm at the right place because I hit the button and it went down a little. Okay, they'll go to slides. Let's see, I'm not even really pressing it. Shabo! Hey, yo, I saw you up there earlier, mom. It ain't funny. Like I said, it ain't funny, but it's funny a little bit. You know, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. But what can you do? Okay. Hey, I ain't saying nothing wrong. I almost jumped up there and gave my testimonial. My testimonies. Yes, he pulled a gun out on me on live. Did you feel scared? No. How can he shoot me through a computer screen? I ain't dumb enough to go within arm's reach of that fool. Okay, so I might be reading some of this stuff over, but if I don't remember it, I don't know if y'all remember it either. Hey, Levon. Okay, so yeah. Okay. Cross examination, civil depositions, regards to those. Okay, we close. We close. The reason I asked that question is, I mean, you've obviously evolved your typology over the last 30 some odd years, and you've been able to go in as a behavioral analyst or whatever the term was and look up things and information like that. Do you still have the same access? Yeah, I read that part. So then and basically what this defense lawyer is trying to do is he trying to make him answer in a certain way, but since he won't, he keep asking him questions. Not leading the witness, but trying to fish around for the answer that he wants. Cause I remember reading this mess and he basically asked the same question 52 different ways. Yeah, that's what he was talking about. Preferential. Okay. With regards to graduate work over your career, have you gotten a postgraduate degree in psychology? Excuse me, not in psychiatry, no. Psychology, no. Psychiatry, no. Social work, no. Counseling, no. Or any type of specific mental health. I don't know what other categories might be out there. And he answers, other than the graduate work that I was in at Sam Houston State University in criminal justice was heavily weighted on behavioral science. Most of the instructors were PhD psychologist types, and so most of the classes had it. Yeah, I read that too. So he's going through his basically his resume, his pedigree. Let me grab my glasses before I misread something on here. They right here, but they ain't. Hold on, y'all. Never seen nothing like it. I put something down and feel for it and can't find it. Where the hell my glasses went to? Narnia around this motherfucker? There go one pair, but where the one I need for the computer screen? There they go. Found it. ZX melanated. They over there having a whole, this is your life. Ain't it Nequa though? See, this the kind of stuff I read on the regular, but it usually be to do with serial killers. Okay, so then he asked him about the typology and asked him was there a thesis on it. He said not yet, but somebody's working on that. Names that he is known by is Grandpa Glitter Boots. I'm not calling him none of this. This is just what they call him, Grandpa Glitter Boots. The Jurassic Sissy, that's the one that took me out because they had the T-Rex up there. You know the one, yas. I'd be like, you know what? If y'all would just be funny without trying to pick on people, it'd be awesome. Okay. So then he asked him, in the 33 years that you've been working on this issue, none of these recognized independent professional mental health agencies has ever said, Mr. Landon, you presented to us. It sounded interesting. Let us study it, analyze it, assess it, or anything like that. And then he says, because it was not intended for diagnostic purposes. In other words, those people have an audience that read their publications. These are clinicians, people who diagnose and treat people. Yes, shout out Hennywise. I'm going to pause it right here, and I'm going to give y'all an analogy in the form of a story. So back when I was growing up, it used to be a guy that everybody called the tape man. So the tape man had this little thing customized for cassette tapes. And basically he was selling bootleg. He was a bootleg. He was a bootleg tape man. So he used to walk through the neighborhood and stuff, and he'll sell little tapes, 3 for $10 or whatever. And fast forward years later, when CDs came out, I was somewhere and he had popped by. I was like, dang, I didn't even know this nigga was still around here like this. So somebody asked him, the tape man, cassette tape, melanated. Mm-hmm. So somebody asked him, they said, hey, you got any CDs? And he was like, no, I'm the tape man. So basically, this defense lawyer is doing what that person did, and this guy is the tape man. He asking him about everything except for what his expertise is. He trying to pigeonhole him into some kind of healthcare role and then say, well, none of your peers agree with you. But that's not the case. The man works for the behavioral science unit of the FBI. He does not work for a psychiatrist. He does not work for a psychologist. He doesn't work for a neurologist. He might tap some of these people for their expertise while he's doing this typology, though, which would make this defense lawyer's questioning moot, long, and unfreaking needed. But this is what they do when they know that they defendant is guilty, but they still trying to get him off, because everybody deserves a day in court, allegedly. Put a 1 in the chat if that made sense to y'all. If so, we'll keep it rolling. I gotta stop by somebody optometrist and get these glasses fixed. The little pads on the inside done messed up. Well, shoot, how many people in here while I'm talking about y'all? It's 4 right now. Okay. So if we get 2, we gonna continue. Okay. So then he says, because it was not intended for diagnostic purposes. In other words, those people have an audience that read their publications. These are clinicians, people who diagnose and treat people. This is a typology to be used by people who are engaged in fact-finding, investigation, and prosecution. So it's something that they were interested in. They frequently ask me to present it to them and so on, but it was not something that may be necessarily of interest to their readers per se. Hey, Alexis. I'm doing good. I hope you all right too. She just getting home from work. Hey, just getting home from work. So all of your work, in essence, is law enforcement geared towards prosecution type scenarios. Not only to law enforcement, to various criminal justice professionals. The way I term it, it's geared toward people who are engaged in fact-finding, someone who wants to try to find out what did or didn't happen. That's the primary use of the typology. That sometimes can be mental health people, and I've listed in my vitae the various mental health, academic, and scholarly organizations and publications that I've presented it in. Let me follow on from that. MDT, multidisciplinary teams, correct? That you've worked with or talked about and done checklists and things like that on how to handle. I worked with some multidisciplines, yes. I mean, generally, those people have mental health professionals. Think that's why it's called multidiscipline. See, it's stuff that don't need to be asked. Generally, those people have mental health professionals, things like that, that work with alleged victims or actual victims in these types of cases, correct? Yes, I've worked in mental health people who deal primarily with victims. Some deal primarily with offenders. Some deal with both. I mean, your presentation was quite informative, at least to me, because I wasn't familiar with these things. I'm just saying, I mean, you've got psychiatric people that are working with you on these multidisciplinary teams with law enforcement. There's doctors, mental health folks, but these mental health folks, at least that aspect of law enforcement or psychiatry, hasn't accepted your work as scientific or analyzed, is what I'm trying to get at. See, it's the same freaking question. It took a page. Again, when you say they haven't accepted it, I'm not sure exactly what that means. Could I have published this in a peer-reviewed psychiatric journal? Yes, I presented it before the American Academy of Law and Psychiatry and groups like that. Could I have published it in their publication? Absolutely. The reason I didn't is simply I was trying to target the individuals who would be primarily using it rather than other individuals who may be more in a clinical role. Meaning, he wants to talk to the people that's actually VIT. Hold on, let me scroll back up. I didn't see that till just now. It's working on it. I'm assuming it's some fancy way of saying attaché or some shit. Hold on. VITAE, a brief biographical resume of one's career and training as prepared by a person applying for a job. I told you. A fancy way of saying resume. It's like your life's work all in one. No problem, melanated. So, of the agencies I've listed, have you been asked to publish stuff and said no, it's not appropriate? Or you've just never been asked? See, this is some polite shit. You could say, you could say 10 cents, but you got to spell out dime, to make people think you smart. Because you mentioned you presented it, and I figured if you're going to present these types of arguments to these agencies, but it's not an argument. Shadow, yeah, melanated, the convoluted kind. This would be like a 5-point triple flip or some shit. Because you mentioned you presented it, and I figured if you're going to go present these types of arguments to these agencies, it seems strange to me that they wouldn't pick up the torch and do some and go do some research, some clinical studies, or publish it. That's all. He doing flips all around the courtroom, all up on the second floor and shit. Well, again, one of the things that's difficult for me to give a clear answer to your question is when I do presentations, I don't only just present the typology. Sometimes I'm talking about a lot of different things. They have at various times asked me to submit things for publication and so on. And then I just had to make a decision as to whether I had the time to do that. They generally maybe wanted it in a different kind of a format and so on, and I had to decide whether I had the time to do that. So on a few occasions, I do recall being asked to publish some of my material, but I just didn't have the time to do it, or didn't feel that was the primary audience I was trying to reach. This is why court cases take so damn long. It's about this is about 3, because I stopped in the middle of this. Well, no, because the first 2 pages was the prosecution asking the questions, and then this is like page 2 or 3. How about the last 3 years since you retired and said you've had more time? This man is more aggy than a goddamn customer asking the same question 50, 11 different fucking ways. You're going to get the same answer every damn time. Have you thought about doing anything like that? I've thought about doing it, yes. And I have a psychiatrist who told me that he could get it published, the two of us together, in a second. It's just a matter of sitting down and deciding whether I want to do that at this stage of my life. Is that the same psychiatrist that you said is picking up your analysis and looking at it? No, it's a different psychiatrist. That's a psychologist, the other individual who has applied for a grant to use this to diagnose sex offenders. Let me repeat that. Let me just repeat that for the one time. A psychologist, the other individual who has applied for a grant, one of those things Polite says he can get people, but he's actually lying, to use this to diagnose sex offenders. So it's so accurate that a psychologist wants to use it to diagnose sex offenders. He just, the defense attorney just digging. If York didn't dig his own grave, the attorney, let me get about 2 shovelfuls out of there for you, baby. Mm-hmm. Then he says, okay, I don't mean to beat a dead horse. You not only beat that horse to death, you resurrected it because you got the Necronomicon and then beat that motherfucker again. Skinned it for various necromantic purposes and beat that motherfucker some more. Okay? The second psychologist that's using your work to try to diagnose or treat sex offenders in the past 33 years, that hasn't happened with any of these psychiatric agencies. Somebody is now wanting to pick up the torch and look at it. And let me point out here, people, that this is how scientific and mental health discovery and pharmaceutical discoveries are made. Somebody says, hey, maybe this is possible. And they go put in for a grant for it. And they get the grant. And the grant gives them enough money so they don't have to do other stuff. They can just research that. So if it's good enough to go get a grant, I think all the psychiatrists and psychologists are in agreement that it's a useful tool that keeps evolving over time as they learn more. But what do I know? I'm just IT. He wants to do it in a formal way. He's applied for a grant to use this typology and have me train his people to use this typology. But over the last 30 years, I have been contacted on numerous occasions by psychologists and psychiatrists, particularly those doing forensic evaluations, and they have utilized my material and asked for my advice to provide assistance in them evaluating a sex offender. Sounds like an endorsement to me. So I've been asked on a case-by-case basis many times about my opinions, and I've talked to psychologists and psychiatrists who are trying to figure out what kind of an offender they have and who to look at my traits and characteristics to assist them in that decision-making process, particularly if they're doing forensic evaluations. With regards to your work, those aren't scientific studies, the analyses you've done. That's your opinion based on what you found over the years. Here we go. This typology is based on my training, education, and experience in the thousands of cases I've studied and the thousands of cases I've consulted on. There's no dispute that you've worked on a lot of cases. I'm not challenging that, but wouldn't that be proving the theory out in the field? I'm just saying. I'm just saying that this isn't a scientific study like, where you go and watch the news and they say scientific studies have found this or this research has found that. I mean, this is you doing this work and you sort of carry the torch on this kind of work. You're it. And he says, well, I'm not. And then he says, you're the leader, I guess. I'm the leader, but I'm not just it because I have presented this to thousands and thousands of people. It has been used in affidavits, search warrants, investigations, and training. If it made no sense and no validity whatsoever, then I wouldn't have been presenting it for all these years and asked to present it by all these people who have utilized it. So its validity, in my opinion, comes from the fact that it's been utilized and it seems to work for a lot of people. Hey, Marcus X, shout out Mr. Lanning, because this is the academic version of nothing to fuck up on folk. Verbal diarrhea that cuts you to the core. And all the defense attorney could say was, okay, I guess that's sort of what I was trying to get at. The validity issue. You presented it lots of times, but there's been no follow through. There's been no follow through. They've actually used the profile and been able to catch criminals sometimes right before they commit another act, or sometimes right after they commit an act, because they've been able to narrow down the suspects because of those typologies, you know, profiles and shit. I mean, when the proof is in the pudding, ain't that what they say? You presented it lots of times, but there's been no follow through. And this will be my last question. With regards to these independent mental health agencies we're talking about. Well, the follow-up issue in the sense is not necessarily, I don't know how you can scientifically prove it. It'd be interesting what the other individuals find in these diagnostic things. But the follow-up for me comes untested every day. If I talk to a police officer or a prosecutor about this on the phone, give him all this information, they receive this training, and they then go out to use it and it doesn't work, it doesn't make any sense. It's not consistent with what they find. They're going to call me up and say, hey, that stuff you gave is a bunch of nonsense, or I'm not going to use it again, or don't ask this guy to come back and present again. Hey, William, or we're not going to publish that anymore. This stuff has been presented for almost 20 years now and hundreds of thousands of publications. If it had no meaning and no validity, it wouldn't have lasted this long. I guess they answers the question. I mean, since you're so experienced and you have come up with this, do you ever fear that police officers or forensic interviewers try to pigeonhole people into your topology to make it fit because you... This is an absolute concern of mine. And if you read my publication, I talk about it in great detail about cautioning people about that very thing. So it is a concern that I have, and I've written about it in my publications, and I talk about it in my training all the time. That leads us to this case here. Have you looked at any police reports in this case? No, I have not. Have you interviewed any of the victims in this case? No, I have not. Have you talked to any of the witnesses in this case? No, I have not. Have you talked to any of the FBI agents in this case? I talked to the case agent about the arrangements for me coming down here. I don't care about that. With regard to facts, do you have any idea what this case is about except it's for a sex case? The only information that I have is I was involved about a year ago, a brief consultation at the FBI Academy back in Stafford, Virginia, Quantico. I sat in on a consultation there. And in December, I sat in on a hearing where I was sitting in the audience while some aspects of the case were being discussed. So those were the only two occasions where I received any information about the details of the case. Is it fair for me to say that basically your testimony is relatively generic? You could take this to any sex case in the country where somebody has been charged with child being nasty? Yes. In other words, this is just a testimony about what I've seen, the patterns that I've seen in these types of cases, sexual victimization of children. So over the last hour and a half, he sat up there and asked that man the same two questions over and over again for an hour and a half. All the information you have given us is just a generic overview of what you think or what you found over the years that's been published, as you said. Right, these are nothing particular to this case. Yes, nothing particular to this case. With regards to the thousands of files you've looked at, are we talking about people that have been prosecuted and then you're going back and looking at the characteristics of those individuals to come up with, this type of situational thing or this type of preferential thing? Some of that, some not. In other words, the case consultation role I played in, sometimes we were dealing with cases that were resolved and prosecuted, and we studied those. Sometimes I was involved in the early stages of cases where we were now consulting on investigation and what might be found. I worked many cases where the investigative process determined that somebody appeared not to have committed this crime and was either not charged or the charges were dropped or whatever. So I've been involved in various stages of these cases. The cases I've looked at, they're not all, convicted end of the line cases. I intervened or consulted in various stages of the case. Do you have a separate typology for those who have been falsely accused? No, if they've been falsely accused, they wouldn't fit into the fucking typology. I don't have a separate typology. Obviously, if you've been falsely accused, then you're not a sex offender. And so I just might as well just save my comments because look like Mr. Lanning got it. Oh, I understand that. We've gone over this typology. Right. And the jury is here to determine if this happened or not. Obviously, we're saying it didn't happen, but you could fit some of these characteristics and still be an innocent man, correct? Yes, and that's why you have to look at the totality of facts and evidence and how you use this typology. This is not a typology. Okay, as soon as we take a break, that's the next one. I just want to finish this page first. This is not the typology to convict somebody. This is not a typology to say that because you have these traits, therefore you must be guilty. This is a typology that explains and helps people to understand the patterns of behavior to make a decision about that. But I've been involved in many cases of false accusation. Have you ever treated somebody that's been convicted of a sex crime? No, I'm not qualified to. Girl, because they don't have no defense. He got a nitpick. Don't forget, these are the court transcripts from Malachi Z. York's trial. Ain't no excuse for none of that shit he did. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to make the jury doubt the specialist that the prosecution brought in. That's why he keep asking the same question in different kind of ways. So then if Mr. Lanning had answered how he wanted him to, this shit would have lasted 5 minutes, not an hour and a half. And we wouldn't have all this stuff to go over. But since Mr. Lanning didn't answer how he wanted him to, he had to ask the question again and again and again and again. This man has clearly stated that he is not a psychiatrist, nor is he a psychologist. So why would you ask him, has he ever treated somebody that's been convicted of a sex crime? The prosecution should have called this, but I guess they letting him sit up there and dig his own damn grave. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Shoot, I'm not even the one being questioning it.
Jones.
Just let me be. As you can see, I'm forever unique. Clutching on to my universal securities. Negativity can take my purity. Surrounding myself with positivity. Can never break a spirit that the soul has written out for me. My show is with
While we take this short break, go ahead and hit the like button.
Talented senorita, carrying raw energy. I'm too proud to
y'all at
take my
work, some of
protection
y'all at
shield of
lunch.
happiness.
I hope y'all
Don't
having
mean
a
to be
good time.
cruel. You can never steal my joy.
This life is all that you make. Think twice when you caught up in the situation. Real spill, they can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. This life is all that you make. Think twice when you caught up in the situation. Real spill, they can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. Yeah, and I mean that there. Can't let them knock me off my square. I can't get caught in that snare. Had to man up, trying to stand up, but I always feel like it's something pulling me down, like my shirt got caught in the chair. I'm saying, this type of wave could bring the tide to the sand, and they can never stop my joy. That was not in my plans, and never was, but will be. But I can't hold you, it's all love, and I'm still me. I've been the same, kept a smile on my face throughout the bullshit. And even if I fall, I bounce back like what's good. That's just the way it goes. Arthur James and Nick will be the poet. They can't never stop our joy, let them know it. This life is all that you make it. If you don't believe that, then you sadly mistaken. And it's a wake-up call. Early morning feeling this vibe. If you ain't on this type of time, then get out my life. I'm just saying, this life is all that you make it. Think twice when you caught up in the situation. Real spill, they can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. This life is all that you make it. Think twice when you caught up in the situation. Real spill, they can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. They can never take my joy.
It's the way you bring that light to me. Dandelions breaking semen, earth sign. I'm grounded, can't steal my joy. I'm acid rain, I'm changing the climate. Put my voice against the glass, call it diamond. I wish upon to set me free. I can't deny you exasperate my duality. Listening to the sound of laughter, my density changes the colors of leaves. Springing into my destiny can make me fall. Poetry keys to my heart.
Hey, Hada.
Oh yeah, you the master. Nobody can ever steal my tranquility. Stop my abilities, cross out my realities. My factual and actualities. Picking and choosing, support whether winning or losing. Writing my forms, cause I know what the truth is. I know what the truth is. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
This life is all that you make it. Think twice when you caught up in the situation. Real spill, they can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. This life is all that you make it. Think twice when you caught up in the situation. Real spill, they can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. They can never take my joy. It's all about having fun, you know.
There it is, bro.
Doing this from TripCTreehouse, sometimes, you know. You gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. Yeah, I'm right. This life is all that you make. Think twice when you caught up in the situation. Real spill, they can never steal
My joy, my joy.
my joy.
Hey. That is our beautiful songbird, Nico, our beautiful poet. She could be a songbird if she wanted to, though. Nick would be, and YJ the Truth, aka Truth Forum. So we gonna get back to it. I know everybody in the courtroom was rolling their eyes, including the judge. And says, okay, have you ever perhaps not treated, counseled, or done anything like that to somebody that's been convicted of a sex crime? I have not done it. I've consulted with people who do that, but I'm not qualified to do that. That was not my job. Have you ever had to deal with victims of sex crimes and either counseled them or talked to them, things like that? He's steady trying to put him in the role of a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and he is an FBI agent. Have you done that in your career? Again, that's not my job. Right, melanated. I work with people who do that, and I didn't directly do that. That was not my job, and I'm not qualified to do that. And correct me if this is sort of a bad sort of a term, I guess, but you're not necessarily hands-on these cases. You've sort of looked at the files paperwork wise and come up after thousands of cases you just looked at just on paper and come up with this typology. Is that fair? Well, it is somewhat fair in the sense that a lot of it is not on paper. A lot of it was done on the telephone, some of it at consultations where people came together. They either traveled to Quantico. Hey, Truth Soldier. They either traveled to Quantico. What you talking about, the defense attorney? It had to be a lot. Hey, Moo. It had to be a lot, Jaded, because he is swinging for the hemisphere. They either traveled to Quantico or I went to where they were, talked on the phone, sometimes in written documents, and so on. So yes, in the last 20 years, I was predominantly a consultant. I could not have been involved in thousands of cases if I personally investigated them. If I got on a helicopter and flew out and did the investigation, then my case experience would have been a lot smaller. So yes, a lot of this investigation is based on my role as a consultant working with state, local, federal police, law enforcement, prosecutors, social workers, and I was a consultant rather than a frontline operational person in the last 20 years. Prior to that, in my first 10 years at the FBI, I was a frontline investigator. And that's where I'm trying to get the context so we don't misunderstand one another. Don't nobody not understand but your dumb ass. You're not actually dealing with these folks hands-on. You're sort of doing it in a hands-off approach, and you have thousands of these cases and you've come up with that. And it's always been from law enforcement folks talking to you, telling you about facts, or you're reading police reports, or you're looking at plea colloquies, or trial transcripts or something like that. Right, but not just one of those. I would certainly agree predominantly law enforcement, but I've done it with prosecutors, I've done it with social workers, I've done it with mental health professionals, particularly people doing forensic type evaluations. A lot of different disciplines I've done it with, but yes, it's been primarily in a consulting role. Is there a typology? We went over the victim situation for kids that make false allegations or lie about these things. I've never developed a typology of children who might lie about it. What I have developed and what I tried to talk briefly about here is some of the dynamics in situations under which children might lie about it. So it's something that I've looked at and studied and have a certain amount of experience with, but I've never developed a typology that says, this is the typology of children who lie about this. And it's like, one thing I don't like about defense attorneys is when they have a client that is very, very obviously guilty, they go out of their way to somehow degrade whatever type of victim it is in the case. It don't matter if it's just money. Whoever's on the other end of that money, they gonna try to besmirch their good image to make the jury question, well, this might not have happened this way because of reasonable doubt. Is it fair for me to say that a child could come up here, appear sympathetic, and fit the criteria that you listed here and be making a false allegation? Well, I didn't really come up with a typology. I described a typology of offenders. Excuse me. For the victims, what I described in my testimony was predominantly certain behavior patterns that we see in children, particularly those who might come under the definition definition, compliant child victims. And certainly when a child doesn't disclose, we could talk about some reasons why the child didn't disclose. But one possible reason why the child didn't disclose is because they weren't victimized. So it may very well be, or that a child does disclose and that disclosure is now false to one degree or another. So I have been involved in those cases. I have assisted many departments in evaluating those types of cases, and that's part of what I wanted here is the better understanding and insight and to try to evaluate those things. And I appreciate your explanation, but let me just ask you a simple yes or no question. Here we go back to the bullshit. Okay. Either as an offender or as a complacent victim, or whatever the term is, you couldn't even keep complying in your head for like 4-5 minutes. You can meet the criteria that we talked about on the board here and still be either falsely accused and be making a false report against someone else. One isn't necessarily the other. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Well, I know you asked me to answer the question yes or no. I just don't think I can answer it yes or no. I can answer it more yes as it pertains to offenders, less for the victims, because I was not kind of describing a typology of victims. I was describing a behavioral dynamic. But certainly someone could have those patterns. These are not absolute proof that someone is guilty. They would have to be looked at in their totality with all the other evidence involved. Because the reason I asked it a few minutes ago, you told me that these are just guidance issues. They don't mean that somebody is guilty just because these factors apply. So I'm trying to ask you, you can have all this stuff and still be innocent. And I don't see this as a complicated question. That's all. Well, I think if you ask it separately for offenders and victims, it may be a little bit easier for me to answer. Okay, with regards to victims who have made false police reports that you've dealt with in the past, because you said you've dealt with people who have had charges dropped and all that kind of stuff. Have some of those victims over your 30 years fit some of the typology you've come up with over your... And then he breaks in, but that's my point. I didn't come up with a typology of victims. I described a typology of offenders, but not a typology of victims. For victims, I simply describe certain common behavior. Right, melanated. I simply describe certain common behavior patterns that we see with compliant victims, but it was not a typology. And I apologize. And I just saw that little bullet point like you did on the offender, so I'm just calling it the same thing, and I apologize. With regards to the reason why kids don't disclose, can a lying child fit those reasons and still lie about it or dupe somebody about what happened? Well, I mean, the only thing you ask reasons why the child doesn't disclose. If the child is not disclosing, then they're not lying because they're not disclosing. Although interesting enough, one of the most common lies in essence that children tell is the lie that they weren't victimized when they were. That's one kind of lie that a child can tell. But if a child's not disclosing, then in essence, we don't have a lying child. Mic drop for Mr. Lanning. If we're talking about children who do disclose at some point, why they delayed that disclosure and why they're disclosing now, I offered one possible explanation. There may be others that would need to be looked at. I guess the concern I had of slide 12, and then Mr. Aurora says, could we just pop that up a second? And then pause for videographer. The top line of slide 12. I mean, you've told me that true victims can either disclose late or not disclose at all. I mean, that sort of covers everybody. So if I want to say nothing happened, and then he says, well, the only one it doesn't cover would be immediate disclosure. So a child's been victimized and tells pretty quickly. I didn't mention that. But obviously, the rest of that sentence pretty much covers the other possibilities. That they disclose sometimes late or they don't disclose at all, or when specifically asked about it, they even deny it. But doesn't that sort of cover every child? You could only do one of three things. Either disclose right away, disclose late, not disclose. That's it. except for the fact that I'm not implying here that every child who denies it, it's a false denial, or that every child who doesn't disclose it really was victimized. I don't believe that for a second. Okay. So I'm not one of those people who believe that because the child didn't disclose, they really were victimized. Some children, were you victimized? No, that's a truthful answer. Some children don't disclose it because they weren't victimized. So I'm not suggesting it. I'm just simply saying that understand that some children who were victimized may not disclose it for a long time, and when specifically asked, may vehemently deny it when they were victims. And I know this because we have found photographs of these children being victimized. We have records of it so that we know that their denial of their victimization is false, because we know they were victimized when they vehemently denied it. All right. Now, see, he don't want him to go on no further when he's shredding that behind. Because what he's trying to imply is something that is not meant on this man's topology. He has a side note on there on the top line of slide 12 at the time of this hearing, because it's probably changed since then, because that was 2 decades ago. But what it's basically saying, hey, Maximum, what it's basically talking about is the fact that some child victims don't disclose, you know, for whatever reasons, like Jimmy Savile victim, and some child victims do disclose and nothing is done. Jimmy Savile's victims went to the police and they said, who do you think they're gonna believe, him or you? Molesting girls in the home for wayward feet girls. Stupid shit. In some cases, would it be fair to say that if somebody had abused someone, you know, out of a group of children, they may have abused one person but not another, and those other people might be denying anything ever happened and they'd be telling the truth, correct? Could you repeat the question? Sure. Let's pretend we have 2 kids, either siblings or group up together, anything. One says she's abused, the other says they weren't abused. I mean, the person saying I wasn't abused could obviously be telling the truth, or is it speculation? Not speculation, but based on your analysis, would that person that's saying it didn't happen fit into this sort of complacent criterion that, and then he says, in other words, and then he's saying he's a liar in essence. In some cases, would it be fair to say that if somebody has abused someone, you know, out of a group of children, they may have abused one person but not another, and those other people might be denying anything ever happened and they'd be telling the truth, correct? He just asked the question in the same damn way. Sure, let's pretend we have 2 kids, either siblings or group up together, anything. One says she was abused, the other says they weren't abused. I mean, the person saying I wasn't abused could obviously be telling the truth. But why couldn't the person that was saying I was abused be telling the truth? See, he's trying to put this thought in the jury's head. He's not talking about the victims that actually went through something. He's bringing up victims or supposed victims that were lying. Okay, and then he says, what I try to communicate to my trainee is that if you have one child saying that they were victimized, that doesn't necessarily mean they were. And if you have this other child that says they weren't, that doesn't necessarily mean they weren't. Therefore, what we need to do is find acceptable and proper ways for law enforcement to look into both of these matters to make a better evaluation. Like, it's been cases where other children will report abuse of a child. So you telling me that since the child didn't report, the friend of the child did, that the child's lying? No, that other child saw something that concerned them enough to go to an adult. So how does that make that a lie? The two don't equate. It don't go together. He's just adding shit in there to muddy the waters. Understand the child saying they weren't victimized. It could be because they weren't victimized, but it could also be for other reasons. They were, but they don't want to talk about it. And also, to be fair, the child who's saying they were victimized may have not been victimized and may be lying about it for a reason. Therefore, what law enforcement or any fact finder should do is evaluate both disclosures and try to do as much investigation and corroboration as you can. Right, Maximum. With regards to the evaluation of the forensic interviews, I mean, I read some of the literature where you were working with these, what is it, MDT, the multidisciplinary teams, and there's actually a checklist and things like that for the Department of Justice website talking about possibly videotaping children and things like that, if it's possible. You would agree that it's a good practice, if at all possible, when the kids come in for their first forensic interview or whatever the number might be, to try to videotape it so it's preserved and we could see the kids' interaction and behaviors and things like that. Videotaping children is a very complex and controversial issue. And let me ask you this. If a child has been interfered with by a trafficking ring, do you think that child would be comfortable on camera, no matter if it's the supposed good guys? I don't think so. In my publication, I can go to it if you want me to. I list the advantages and disadvantages of videotaping. But Maximum, right here, they're talking about when they do the therapy and stuff with the child, question them about what happened. They're talking about there was something in the works to videotape it. And what I try to do when I do training is to talk about the pluses, the minuses, and then allow people to decide, making an informed decision about what to do. It's not quite as simple as everybody thinks it is. And so I think that videotaping, certainly in some instances, may be a good thing to do. And I'm not against videotaping, but you have to understand when it's appropriate, when it isn't, when it works, when it doesn't, what are the advantages and disadvantages. And I discuss all of that in my publication. You've worked in a lot of states. I assume you've worked with a lot of Department of Family and Children's Services agencies from different states. Would that be fair? Would that be a fair statement? Yes, I've worked with some social child protective service workers, social workers, and you're familiar with the one from New York or Georgia or some of these other states where they say that it is highly recommended to videotape the child to memorialize what was said in the beginning, because the memories are the most fresh then versus going through interview after interview, because this way they have to be re-interviewed because nobody can really capture the essence of what's going on. Now, I'm aware of people saying that. I'm also aware of some states where they've even passed laws to deal with that. But when I ask these people in detail what they're talking about, what kind of cases they're talking about, that's where you start to have a problem, you see. So this is what you've recommended for child prostitutes? Well, no, not for child prostitutes. Well, what kind of cases are you talking about? See, he tries to throw in stuff that does not go with oh, here we go again. And when you realize that very often when they make that simplistic, and I do consider it somewhat simplistic recommendation, what they're talking about essentially is one-on-one intrafamilial cases. The very common case where a father or stepfather is alleged to have molested his daughter. The child makes a disclosure. You bring the child in. It's a good thing to videotape that child. Well, when you stop and talk about other kinds of cases where you have suspicion cases where someone has been caught downloading child pee, that person has access to children. Now you're going to interview some of those children to see if maybe they were molested. Do you videotape all those kids? Well, we're changing the subject a little. You don't like it when nobody else changed the subject, huh? Let's talk about the kids that have been molested. And on another note, ain't no such a thing as a child prostitute. Because if a child doesn't have consent to go do anything before the age of 18, how can they consent to sell their bodies? Point blank, period. Would you agree with me that Georgia and New York are two of those agencies that say on the first lines of their protocols to videotape when you can to preserve the integrity of the interview from the moment of the disclosure? And he says, well, I would have to read those protocols, and I would first have to determine what types of child victimization cases they're talking about. All of them, some of them, which types of cases. Don't he though, Jaded? Thinking about it, who else is going to take the case? And usually with Child Protective Services, you're almost always talking about children who have been molested by a parent or guardian. When you have a lot of the acquaintance molester cases, Child Protective Services may not even be involved in those cases because the molestation is not by a parent or child. So I'd have to look at those protocols and see what types of cases they're applied. Are they just a recommended policy? Are there times they might deviate from that? What exactly does the policy say? But I certainly think it's a good idea to minimize the number of interviews and to try to have some record of that interview. Hey, Corey. Right, Maxima. But this is you speaking on your experience in reviewing cases. You haven't done it clinically where you actually treat the children to know what may be best for this child in this case or that case, because you don't do the one-on-one analysis with these kids. I said, well, we're talking about two different things. I'm talking about the investigative process. Oh, yeah, and if y'all would like to, please donate to the channel. We have the yearly subscription for Office 365 coming up. Adobe is $70 a month. I have Restream for a year. Pacer, when we get documents from there, we have to pay. All of this is for the channel. Eugene just went live? Well, shit. Okay. Hold on. Lord, it won't cloud. Jesus. Like they say on them little African movies. Jesus is Lord. I'm going to assume IG and go there first. Okay, that transcript ain't going nowhere. So what we going to do? He would do this BS. He would. Okay, so I'm finna switch over to the other browser. I'm gonna put myself on mute for a minute so y'all don't hear that 111 so I don't kill nobody with headphones on. We lit.
Wow, that's cooked. Look at this. Look at this shit. Hold on, y'all. Slow down real quick. Okay. Okay. Yeah, look at this shit.
This is nuts.
My bad, y'all, about the echo.
Let me try to. This shit. Hold on. Stay right there. Let me see if I can get this shit to stop.
Lord, is he gonna go to McDonald's?
Them niggas is out here giving people $12 an hour.
Nigga, what you gonna do with $12 an hour?
Right,
now
Matt.
hiring all shifts, every shift.
Manager, everybody.
Hold on, every shift is $12 an hour. They still doing this shit? These guys are turning around and brag that they selling 1 billion burgers.
And they only giving y'all niggas 12.
Look at that. Under the American flag, they got their shit up there. What do you say?
You can't make this up.
McDonald's is sovereign? $12 an hour. Yo. If a person's working 40-hour shifts, right? Or 40-hour weeks.
1 hour, 10 minutes.
under that pretense, that's like $2,080 a month.
What the fuck you gonna
You're not even cracking 25 grand at the end of the year, especially talking about them taxes and shit per annual.
Right.
Nigga, yo, I'm not talking about the recession.
What's gonna talk about?
Nah, I need it. I don't even want to be in this fucking death abode of McDonald's. I don't want to be around this energy.
Want to be in this energy.
They pay niggas $12 an hour here. It's hurt.
Some places
over
they
here.
paying.
Get me the fuck up out of here. I can talk about this while we out of here. This nigga here. Damn.
We caught this one almost from the beginning,
like
y'all.
$2,080 a month. If a nigga doing 40 hours. That's crazy. I didn't even know people are getting paid that. And this is not to belittle anybody, but damn, that's some rough shit going on. Yeah, there we go.
Right, man.
That's kind of rough. To be paying people $12 an hour, and they doing the traditional 40 hours, that's $2,080 a month, man. What is somebody going to do with that? How could you take care of your family in this day and time with the price of living going up? And these are the same people that's bragging about selling 1 billion burgers, bragging about selling millions of burgers at a time. But they could afford to really pay people doctor lawyer money on the real. McDonald's could afford to pay their employees doctor lawyer money and won't even feel away. The motherfucker, the food don't even disintegrate as
today,
it is.
y'all. The evils of the
They food is non-biodegradable. That shit'll be here 10,000 years from now.
Oh, back in them
can't
same
even light that
clothes.
bitch
They
on
go
fire.
that pink medium t-shirt,
That shit out of
extra ashy.
Niggas is
With a
eating
side of dust.
styrofoam patties.
old ancient debris.
You know y'all
Give me
asses
the-
just
get
did
the
that.
fuck up out of here, man.
Hold on,
This
wait a
energy
fucking
whack.
minute.
You
They
ain't
in the
there making
daggone
people
pickup.
label for $12 an hour.
The online
Just walk in there
pickup.
and make
Wait a
everybody
minute.
quit.
Is that the online pickup? No, that's
Y'all
not
working
like
too low.
Street. I was
Y'all
finna say.
just-
$12?
It's legal to pay someone $12 an
Hey,
hour?
I don't even know that was a real thing. That's crazy.
That shit is legal? Damn.
This nigga ain't never held a job, so he don't know what minimum wage
I heard
is.
that. Yes, sir.
Somebody would probably be
Marshall's
like,
talking
$12 an hour.
about
Where this nigga ass trying to go get a job?
Man, that's crazy, man. But more the reason, man, make sure you guys get in the program, any program of the sort. You gotta be wise, but make sure you come up with a plan. Because that's savagery.
We can get a car like this. and
That's
all
just
you
being a
want is all
savage,
the
man.
bitches.
That's just being a damn savage.
Right, move.
How could you even pay somebody that little bit amount of money?
They told me.
How you gonna make somebody work 40 hours?
How you scam people?
40 hours on average for 12 an hour to have 2 bands at the end of the month, and that shit is illegal.
Nah, cause they chopping the income
That
tax.
just really broke my heart and my spirit.
That's how we
In
know
a
you ain't got
beautiful
no
place
job.
like this,
That's
all
how
this
we know
tourism
you
and
don't file
everything,
taxes.
and all the traffic they get
That
over
up
there.
there, added that
Come
shit
on,
up
man, step
without
that shit up
adding.
and give the people at least
Hold on,
$25,
what is
$30 an hour, man.
income tax. So
Niggas bragging about selling millions of burgers,
Stay
man.
there, yes.
A billion burgers sold.
What's that other one?
$12 to the
Michael?
employees.
If you a man and you got kids, child support.
That shit
You
hurt,
a
man.
woman and you got kids and they ain't in your cousin. Child
Yeah,
support.
man.
See, he
Shout out
ain't
to the
mentioned none of that
hardworking
when you
people
talk about a
that's doing their
paycheck.
best to make it, man. But don't sit there under their clock falling for that trick, man.
Now, they could be in Miami.
Don't sit there trying to come up with a promotion. Don't sit there dreaming on their clock. That shit'll break you if you stay in that for too long. Damn. I feel like doing something like, if you can prove to me
Right, Mo.
you getting paid $12 an hour, if you can show me a pay stub, I'm gonna give you a discounted price on my my services. You know what I mean? Like, somebody got to do something about that shit. I can't believe that's legal. The fuck could somebody do with less than 25 grand a year? Less than $25,000 a year. What the hell could a person do with that?
Pay their rent and subsidize housing, buy some groceries and some clothes, and put some gas in their car.
It's a whole.
So I'm saying, then they get their taxes back in the beginning of the year. And if they
There's some
only
people
making
from overseas,
$25,000, they get all
third world
their
countries and
taxes
shit
back.
that have little to none. And then the people that's here native to this land, if they
that
not
fell
willing to
on
savage
the
like
flow
that,
maximum.
somebody else is. Because they come
Really
from far
no
less.
top.
But that's why they getting away with that, because there's so many different immigrants that's here in Miami. Are they paying that nationwide? Or is this just Miami? Anybody know if Miami's the only one with this $12 an hour jug, or are there other places in America where they're paying people $12?
Hold on, wait a minute.
$15 an hour?
Minimum wage probably started
15 $15 an hour.
These people around this motherfucker still getting paid $8
It's
for same job when you talking about $12 a day.
So how could you even think $15 an hour would help? It has to.
Because for
minimum
normal
wage
people
have to
that
start at like
balance their
25 for
budget
me to
and
be
shit,
like,
it works.
alright, it's somewhat fair. 25. If it's a major corporation shouldn't be getting away with paying somebody $12 an hour or $15 an hour.
Yeah, that's insane.
Nobody like McDonald's. That's just, them niggas should all be handcuffed. Minimum wage in Alabama is $7.25. Man, North Carolina is still $7.25 to $10. What the fuck?
See, this tell you he ain't never held no job.
It's different people.
$7.25?
Someone from Louisiana, someone from North Carolina.
This show you he ain't never held no
This
job.
is really
He don't
happening?
even know what minimum
That's
wage
crazy.
is.
That's really crazy.
He going off what they said about the $15. That ain't the $15 an hour. That ain't even
$7.25 to
implemented
$10
all the
an
way
hour.
yet.
A whole year's salary that I'm paying one of my bills.
Minimum wage is lower than $25K. Real talk. In the southern states, they still haven't moved from $7.25.
Hey,
Man, you guys better get you an online business. Damn.
you listen to this nigga, you gonna be broke forever.
Yo, that's crazy. That shit breaking my fucking soul.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He didn't even know minimum wage was still. See, I told y'all right before they said that shit.
Yeah, that's breaking my soul. For real.
I can't believe that one.
Damn.
Look, our McDonald's down here, I was
Third world
surprised
country shit.
because I was
$7
before I
an hour.
moved down here.
Yeah, major.
The McDonald's up there.
Yeah. Major
Had to sign, they were
corporations. I
paying
can
like
see you got a little
$14
mom
an
pop
hour
shop.
up in Columbus.
Do your
And
best,
then I
make it
come
happen.
down here and the
Let a young
sign
person
at
get in there and
McDonald's.
find their way.
And then I come down here
Teach
and
them
the
some
sign say
discipline.
10. I was
Grown
like,
adults
damn, they
getting
got,
paid
and then
$7.25 an
over
hour
in like
to do
2
what?
cities over, it's $9 an hour. I was like, damn, they
crazy,
jugging
I mean,
good.
it's all about being grateful, but this is at this point that's being
That's
taken
robbery.
advantage of.
Yeah, that's robbery.
That's immoral to pay somebody that an hour.
It's immoral to pay somebody
Anyway,
$12
guys,
an
that just
hour
threw
when
me
most
off.
people getting like
Y'all, who's we?
7 something
Said
for
we
minimum
get
wage starting.
$8.50 an hour. Where have I
Nigga,
been?
wherever that is in Miami, $12 an hour, they doing halfway
Folks
decent.
in North Carolina would love that $12
I
an
just called
hour.
my auntie and asked her what the regular job price is, and she lives down there. Shit.
If you got a criminal record, you can't even get that. Yeah, we gotta get to it, man.
Minimum wage is if you're
We gotta
not
get to it,
working in a field.
Gotta change our circumstances. That's not right.
Yeah, maximum.
You guys need to pool your
Isn't that
funds,
nigga
put your funds
also dye
together.
his hair pink and green?
And you know, and then people get mad at
at
me, and I get it.
Blonde and
For the
green.
most part, why am I charging $2,000 for my service? But look how much you're getting. You never got to look
You
back
just
at this
sat
type
up
of
here and said
BS.
these people probably
You know,
don't
so
make
yeah, I'm charging
$25,000 a year,
this view is
and
nice.
then turn around and come out
So
your
sure, I'm
big liver
charging
lip talking about some
$2,000 for the
$2,000.
service. But at the same
That's
rate,
a whole
even though I'm
month
charging
pay.
$2,000, you're getting $500,000 in credit card equity. I'm removing the negative items off your report. I'm adding positive items to your credit report. I'm boosting your credit scores. I'm leveraging the results so you can get approved for anywhere between $50,000 to $300,000. I'm doing all of this, and you getting that done inside of 60, 90 business days. Like, come on. You get a caseworker that's going to deal with your credit. You get me as your mentor, so I can prepare you for the money coming in so you could grow it into a larger amount so you don't never have to come back to this minimum wage BS. Or even if you're making more than minimum wage, I'm pretty sure the ratio between your income to your expenses can be a lot better. Because just because you're not getting paid at minimum wage doesn't mean you're not living check to check. That's a fact.
Where is Melissa?
Real talk. Real talk. I mean, we do what we got to do, but you leave your full name and your email. If you want to take the direction that I'm giving you to get access to funds that you don't have to pay back 6 figures. And 6 figures worth of credit card equity as well. So between the monies you don't have to pay back, that's 6 figures, and the 6 figures in credit card equity, and then me teaching you how to grow the money and make more, that's $2,000. You leave your full name and your phone number when you're ready. God damn, boy, that's crazy, son.
That's nasty.
It's disgusting.
Then they were saying some states $7.25.
$7.25, $8.50.
Acting like they ain't never seen
Somebody
a
was like,
hiring board.
Somebody was like, they would love that $15, that $12 in the southern states.
That's insane.
What the fuck is going on in the South?
Man. What's going on? I know Atlanta's similar to
The
that.
only reason McDonald's running it like that is
that's why
because
we
they
can never
complying
take
with that new law. They inching it up.
Lifestyle we
Dollar by
leave for
dollar.
granted, bro.
Some
Can't take it for
places more
granted,
dollars
man.
than others because of the cost of living.
That shit just hurt because it's like you don't even got no wiggle room. You know, they say wealth begins at over $150,000 a year for an individual.
Yeah.
You nowhere near that $150,000. If you ain't even cracking 25 grand as an individual. Come on, man. You're not even cracking 25,000 as an individual. So
Nigga, a pitiful nigga.
that's a
You
whole
know the people you
125,000.
scamming broke.
Whole
and you
125,000
still
plus
scam
your
them.
way. Because that 150 grand is after taxes, where you'll be able to amass wealth. That means you have it. If you're making over $150,000 after taxes as an individual per annual, then you have enough wiggle room
Notice he don't ever talk about paying
to
taxes.
make investments, take risks, win, lose, or draw, and still not compromise the integrity of your living above par. If you're $125,000 away from that, there's damn near no hope. And you're almost setting people up, not just for failure, but to do something criminal. And to be depressed, have anxiety.
To lock you up.
Yeah, this shit is crazy.
Is anybody making that? Barely making minimum wage.
And yes, man, number one, still in the passenger, still in the driver's seat.
Desperate.
Damn, I just feel the anxiety coming from a place like that. You know, people enjoying
Folk rushing to that
they fake
McDonald's
food.
right now
What about
trying
the
to get a
people that's
damn
working
job.
for them? It's like modern day slavery at the job. Real talk. That's modern day slavery. Working for anything below 25 an hour is slavery.
No, those are specialist. Those
In my
are specialist
estimation, I
prices.
thought, God damn, where was I at?
Okay,
With all the
baby.
numbers I be crunching day to day, this minimum wage shit got me cooked. I didn't know they was still giving single dollars out to people.
20,
That
to
nigga
grown
ain't worked
men
a
and
real
women.
job since
You
the
begging
90s.
us to do
If
something
he worked
criminal.
one in.
Begging.
That's no way for a grown person to attempt to strive or survive. That's not no lifestyle for nobody. And then you're doing, what, 40 hours? 40-hour work weeks? You barely seeing friends and family only to come
Shout
with
out
what
to
kind of
Jada
fucking
for
check?
making us,
That's not
for
even
giving
amounting to
us
damn
this
near $2,000 a month,
this
$2,080 a
interlude
month, $2,500, $3,000 a month.
from the
Like, what is that?
nasty
And you got
dictionary.
grown folk responsibilities.
Existing leprechaun.
And then you probably still got a student loan or some shit out there that got you in debt and bad credit because of the neighborhood you live in. Because if you're getting those kind of wages, most likely the neighborhood you live in, there's a credit card redlining, right? Which is telling the bureaus that could otherwise approve you for loans, don't approve you for loans, because people in that neighborhood shouldn't be approved of it because there's a high probability they won't be able to manage getting approved for a significant sum of money, or even non-significant sums of money. Shit is a trap.
God forbid if you got kids. Or
That pink shirt looks dirty
It's a
today.
damn trap, man.
Did you have to sleep outside last night, Eugene?
Shit is a trap. Damn.
Does it look dirty or is it just me? I don't want to put nothing on him that ain't true.
And they're gonna make sure you don't get approved for no loans and no opportunities. Damn.
He's even looking at the camera talking about, damn, the part he left out is in his mind. He's saying, damn, my
It's like a 2-hit, 3-hit combo for failure. It's not cool.
Dirty, dusty, ugly, tacky.
Yeah, I agree, but that's the way it is. It is what it is.
Skinty.
This minimum wage, the people fighting for the minimum wage. Like we gotta stop this type of slave shit. This is only gonna determine the fall of society inevitably, because this recession that's hitting, and it's already here.
Okay, if we do a roaster, y'all actually gonna show up this time, because last time didn't nobody show up.
And they still gonna be paying people single dollars? Like, this shit crazy. Life is getting harder and harder and more costly, and they still out here playing games.
That's why it's called a
with signs, we hiring all shifts, $12 an hour for all shifts.
Billionaire niggas too.
Motherfuckers, 24 hours.
They billionaires. McDonald's is
multi-billionaires.
Multi-billionaires.
Every year making billions.
They got the bread. If anybody got the bread,
that's what I'm saying. They
got the bread.
McDonald's can literally pay their employees Dr. Lawyer money. Literally.
Let me introduce you to Pie.
That's so weak.
They can pay you all the bread, real and fake.
And motherfucker, know he was working at Burger King 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks before he met Eugene, he was working at Burger King.
Course too, with these income streams, and really take people to another level. But I do it in my mentorship. I'm on to get out of here, man. We need to go to that Joe and the Juice, man. Them niggas got some good kale apple ginger.
We finna go get some more ginger shots, y'all.
I mean, it's commercial, granted, but it's what they got right there.
He can't afford them. He can't afford them ginger shots.
In there every morning.
Yeah, you know what's up. Rolls Royce Diaries.
He sound like he reminiscing right now. Negro. Who's going to jail? That Negro.
Going to McDonald's, you see baddies working in there. That's what we thinking about.
That's all niggas ever think about. Be broke. Think about baddies.
Where's the outfit? A business card. Something nice.
Fenty, that's the type of sunglasses I got. I'm a Leo, born August 10th. Yeah, you guys go to brotherpolite45@gmail.com. Leave your full name and your phone number when you're ready to purchase the credit restoration. Damn, that shit drained my energy looking at that
outside. I ain't gonna lie.
Crazy ass waves. Shit drained me.
Hold on. He was looking at everything. Damn, I could have been working at McDonald's instead of doing this shit. Maybe I wouldn't have. Damn.
Alright, I got you.
Y'all need to vacuum them folk Rolls Royce out all that dirt down there on the floor. If that Rolls Royce is yours, why you always gotta have a driver?
No, you guys.
Why do you have a handicap spot and why do you park in a handicap spot and don't have no stickers?
What that mean?
Why you zooming in on that man's chest right there? That ain't
I never seen rice in here.
This is healthy.
And what's this?
This is the best. Sit down.
Never saw. That's no meat in there, right?
No meat, man.
Yeah, you know. What's up, man? It's my man right here. Yeah, they always treat me good over here. I'm gonna mess with it real quick. Yeah, these my guys, man. come here.
Oh, what? No
I'm actually gonna
vegan
do
pizza?
be doing some good
man
business in
number
Turkey.
two
You
and
guys
number
gonna see
three.
me in Turkey because of this man right here. I'll be in Turkey doing some good work, some good business with him. Yeah. You know what we're doing? Oh, good looking. See? Yes. Just pop out
Hold
and
on,
always
wait
show
a minute,
love,
wait a
man.
minute. He gave him a plate of rice with some guacamole.
You know,
Nigga.
I get some wine. You know, just
Since when the local taqueria sell wine?
hey, what you said this is? Booger? What you said this is?
This is the bulgur.
Booger?
Whole wheat rice.
Booger.
Yes, this is Mediterranean.
B-E-L-G-A-R.
Let's go for it.
Very healthy.
I'll give it a shot.
I hope you know most Hispanic places fry their beans in lard.
Great flavor, man.
I bet it is.
I love it.
10 times better than the regular rice.
Yeah, I don't eat
want
that other
you to
rice either.
know.
I be eating wild rice.
They usually
You
fry
ever
their
had black
beans
rice?
in lard.
No.
Gotta try black rice. Black rice good, son. Oh, wild rice. Wild rice good.
You have to cook it for mad long, and that's not gonna be good for a quarter side plate.
But this is fire. The seasoning is good, man. This is dope. I like this.
Wanna try? Spicy. Very spicy.
Man,
Like spice or no?
I love spice. It's good for blood circulation. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
My guys, man.
Number one.
How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm gonna take. You already know. You know what I want. You should know by now. She know what I
Well, you
want.
gonna have to throw some salads up in the mix, bruh. I'll be eating all that
You
salad.
know what I want. Come on.
Don't smack on camera, dude.
Yeah.
When you go to a Mexican restaurant and they playing pop music, the food is, or Hispanic in general, the food is
Somebody was coming.
questionable. Don't eat it
Somebody
like
was
that.
coming with that booger talk.
It ain't
It's banging, though. I ain't
booger,
gonna hold you.
vulgar.
I ain't gonna hold you, but yeah. Email me at brotherpolite45@gmail.com. Leave your
So
full name
rice
and your
and
phone
beans
number.
with a guacamole
When you're ready to
salad on the
purchase.
side.
That $2,000 credit restoration. $2,000. I'm gonna get you access to anywhere between 50 grand to 300 grand that you don't have to pay back. Thank you. This is what I do. Nigga.
How you doing, buddy? Welcome. How are you?
My nigga, this is real.
Literally did have a chance to
Nigga,
dig twice.
This-
What's up, my friend?
this is good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is good, son.
Yeah, huh?
No, we home, you know what I mean?
At the tilt. Bigger rice too.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
Vibe. That's right.
They call it booger or something.
Melanated.
It's good.
I had to pick up at the south back, go back. South, the Bayside. Go just to pick up 2 hats for my nephew.
Okay.
My nieces.
Okay. You want to grab
Give
them?
the address, yeah. Pick up over there.
Okay.
Yeah. In the store.
Okay. Which store you want me to go? Which store you talking about?
Oh no, he can give you the exact address.
Ya yolda gel.
I'll pick it up.
Meyhane pilav yaptım. Ayranla gel de bir pilav 5 tane gidersin gel. 10 dakika fazla değil.
Yeah, he made me some
Çok güzel meyhane
clothes.
pilav yaptım. Bulgur pilav. Güzel.
Miami so
Hadi
fire.
Charles,
Yeah.
I get the address, go pick up.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Which side is?
I just sit down, let me finish first.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, leave
It's
the
in the
city.
Bayside.
Okay.
I totally forgot this morning. I ordered it. My manager there, her name is Sophia, Chinese.
Okay.
Don't jump her, okay? No tengo el phone number.
Can't promise that.
Okay, promise that.
I'll shoot your leg.
I need my leg, amigo.
No.
Please.
No, she's good.
Okay.
She's good, okay?
Oh, perfect.
Just go there and just pick up and say, don't just say 2 hats. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
How far is that place?
10 minutes, bro.
10 minutes.
That plate was empty and
You said
bare.
one is 9, right? You said one is 9, one is... How old they are?
Well, you better put
One is 16, the other one's 3.
They got another quarter time of the speed. You'd have been better off.
Man, that's fire.
16.
Yup. She looks so mad young.
You done already, nigga? What got that?
She looks super young. My daughter.
That's that diet.
Yeah,
Vegan.
She been vegan her whole life.
Yeah.
She just turned 16.
Well, I took her to Jack in the Box the other day.
But actually, not just turning. She about to turn 17.
You heard me? I took her to Jack in the
Yeah,
Box.
nigga. Yeah. That nigga want to smoke talking crazy like that.
Y'all vegan, but she went to Jack in the Crab.
Nah, you know what? You go ahead. Let's get that in. Hold on, y'all.
That was the lima bean plate move.
Yeah, that falafel wrap.
Oh, that nigga still hungry.
Yeah, so you know. Yeah, I'm just munching in the camera, that's true. But yeah. Huh? I'm enjoying myself. Thank you, sis.
What she said?
If I'm enjoying myself.
When did I do that?
He probably be down there every other day. He goes to the cauliflower pizza place and then he go here.
Yeah. Brother POLIJC45@gmail.com. Leave your full name and your phone number. Hey, This Life of Nature. Been meaning to ask you, what city and state are you in? This Life of Nature. That's a dope name.
Biraz da biraz sana. Biraz şuna bir de biraz yansın. Biraz da
Yeah, the falafel wrap.
Somebody said
Fire.
still waiting
They
on
make
my
a real
CRM,
good
black
falafel
man.
here. They falafel wrap. It's off the chain.
But notice that place has a waitress, so why did he have to go inside and ask for a falafel wrap?
Yeah, the rice is good. I ain't gonna front. It's seasoned so good.
That ain't even an avocado salad. That's some lettuce with a couple of pieces
What's the name of this pepper?
sliced on it.
Jalapeno? I love jalapeno.
I hope it's hot.
Meyhane bile, bulguru meyhane bile. Ayran. 15 dakika ya.
Say something enlightening.
Elma alacağım.
Work for yourself. Set up some online businesses. Drop shipping businesses.
Şey de var. Fazla da yani bekletirim.
Get to it.
Hadi görüşürüz.
Abi turşusu misiniz?
Bir tane buna ben yansın. Başı yaptım.
There we go. Oh,
First, you want to give it a try? That's the Turkish hot pepper.
so holla. Those peppers are good.
What is good?
They set you up for the overdose.
I love that. I'm raised on peppers. Yeah, I do that. It's these carrots I don't do. But yeah, this rice banging. These peppers dope too. Hey gang, got your wine over there. You know how we do out here. I park on the damn sidewalk when I come out here. You know we do when we come out here. Rolls Royce.
Yeah, because you ain't got no respect for nobody, so you parking handicap parking, dipshit.
I'm excited about that turkey trip, you heard? This is my guy right here.
Your ass better not go nowhere.
You coming out there when I get out there? You gonna be out there or you gonna still be here? You gonna still be here?
Boy,
Turkey.
you got
When I go to Turkey, you gonna be here? You gonna set everything up though for me, right?
You done makes everything you want.
14
Okay.
days in a wake up.
Oh yeah. Getting paid $15,000 a day.
Hey, King. He's gonna set up for you, the guy over there.
Oh, he's gonna set it up for me?
Yeah.
All right.
$14 days, 2 weeks, y'all.
That's
2
crazy.
weeks
I'm over
to
here
UG drop.
upset that people getting paid $15 a day.
Get a
And I'm
hallelujah.
getting $15,000 a day. Over one lit. I want to just take you guys under my wing and really teach, but you know, people be acting goofy. I want to do a sweepstakes or something and just teach a few people for free. I actually got a few people from Germany that came out and paid me as well. I got to post that. I forgot. Flew out from Germany so I could coach them. Take me really serious. Spend a good amount of money on me. I would never charge y'all that money. Charge them though. I'm gonna post it to you so you know I'm not BSing. People still say I'm BSing regardless, but you know what it is. Nothing like being home. I love Miami.
You ain't from Miami, though.
Yeah. On in Istanbul. Not Bangladesh. Istanbul. Look at that falafel. Oh my gosh. The best falafel in the city right here. Best. The only falafel I used to like the most was in New York. But when I come here, I'm like, they got the best falafel. It's perfect. They fry it good and it's still soft on the inside.
Somebody say John.
Which one is that?
Who?
Wale? Yeah. Oh, he just drove by. The Maybach. Yeah. We gonna connect. Did I forget about health?
He looked like Eeyore.
Oh, I got my shades.
Nobody
Actually from I know I got different ones in different places. So I got one of these from LA. These ones in particular I got from New York. Yes. That's your brother for real? Hey, good to meet you, man. Yes. Hey. Good to meet you, man.
But he just like me as far as like random.
You got a powerful brother, man. Powerful. Yeah, he always introduced me to really great people and knows how to network really good. Great networker. Yeah.
King.
Man. You know what I'm saying? King too. That's why I love this guy. We talking my talk. Yeah.
I can see it now.
Man.
Brothers in the crib, that's what's up.
That's what's up, man.
You think I should change the thumbnail or
yeah.
leave it as is?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Or put Polite and Eugene together.
brotherpolite45@gmail.com. Stop hesitating. Stop hesitating to make it happen.
And then you look like the donkey.
Change your life. Shit so lit. Nigga, or say that again. Nigga.
That's what I'm saying.
Nigga never got paid for nothing.
Never got paid for nothing here. It's so crazy, bro. How much is that?
He ain't gotta pay for nothing now.
Just run up a $300-$400 bill. Niggas just show love. That shit called Dorado. Yeah, my fishy brother. Single mother, I'ma help you out. Just reach out to me. I'm in a giving spirit and mood. I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna go hard on the mentorship. Whoever sign up now, I'm gonna throw some extra shit in there for you. And I'm gonna guarantee you, I'm gonna do something for you. Whoever sign up now, I'm gonna make sure inside of 30 days, you got at least 50 plus.
He only has 2 weeks to get trial started. Y'all really think he's gonna be live talking about a CRM?
Whoever wanna sign up now. For those of you that stayed on the stream long enough to hear this part, you can sign up with no credit. My job is to fix your credit. My job is to get you to the next level. Just forward me your full name and your phone number when you're ready to purchase the $2,000 service. I can't wait to do my live stream, and I'm actually traveling to a lot of countries. I'm going back to Dubai.
Oh, that's the cover story, y'all. He gonna be traveling.
I'm actually going to Iran, which I know that sounds crazy, but I have a lot of great relationships that I've created, so the money looks good. Just hit me up, forward your full name and phone number when you're ready to purchase the $2,000 service. Forward your full name and your phone number when you're ready to purchase the service. Y'all saw me yesterday. I did get that Richard Mille yesterday. That $425,000 watch. I got a little something deal because I paid cash, so I got a little something deal. But I shared it with you guys. It's not dumb. It's gonna appraise for way more money. They actually, those watches actually cost more money.
Ain't flashing that stack of money.
They cost brand new. I actually bought that one new. It's best to buy them new. They cost more than
you more expensive than a bitch.
That's wild, right? But people who don't know no better, they be really thinking it was a dumb investment to spend $425,000 on a watch that has copper or rose gold in it. You gotta understand, the human body is electric. That copper helps reduce inflammation.
Hey, G, you want more?
Yeah. That rice is good, man.
You want a little more?
Yes, please.
They probably be putting out
Man, that rice, I never had that.
Come on in, make him.